Om. Namaste. I thank Sakar and Dr. Reddy, Ananda Reddy Garu for giving me an opportunity, and I am greatly indebted to them to bring out an interesting and different aspect of Sri Aurobindo's personality. Sri Aurobindo's personality, if one would recall in his photograph, is quite grand, is Catholic, and it shines like a diamond with many facets. And of course, humor is also one of the facets. He had Himalayan contributions as a yogi, as a poet, as a philosopher, as a politician, as a sociologist, different fields, studying of ancient texts like Upanishads, Vedas, Gita, all these things. So his contribution was tremendous. But rarely do we ponder about his aspect of humor that was present in him. Now, it would be an injustice to Sri Aurobindo if we do not discuss this interesting aspect of his personality. So, I wish to present this lighter side of his personality and bring out Sri Aurobindo to appreciate his this humor which is there, which was present within him. As he has said, humor is the salt of his existence. Humor is the salt of existence, and he was in fact a Rasovahi Sahi, and by the end of the talk you will agree with this aspect. Now, though Sri Aurobindo's this thing was there, it was grim and all, but he had rubbished all these things. In fact, I quote, rubbish, oh, I am grand and austere and stern. It is every blasted thing which is I never was. I groan in un-Aurobindonian despair when I hear such things. What has happened to the common sense of you all? Sense of humor, it is the salt of existence. Without it, the world would have gone to blazes ago, utterly out of balance and rushed to blazes a long ago. Cheerfulness is the salt of sadhana. It is 1,000 times better than gloominess. So we come to this erroneous that was there, this impression that was there, that Sri Aurobindo was a grim, this thing. It is because of his photograph. There is no photograph which shows him with a smiling visage. But on the other hand, the mother was all smiles, all laughter, everything was there, present there. So that was a sort of a contrast. Now, there were some disciples who were very close to Sri Aurobindo. Those were, one was Dilip Kumar Roy, Ambalal Purani, Nirod Baran, Dr. Nirod Baran, Amal Kiran, and many others. Now, the notion about his was dispelled, the notion about his graveness was dispelled by Dilip Kumar Roy. He said one incident happened with him which shows that in private, Sri Aurobindo was quite open and very interactive. Once Dilip asked him during his early days in Pondicherry how he could tame his mind. In fact, in one of the first interviews, he asked him how he could tame his mind. Sri Aurobindo burst out into laughter. Why? What is you want to tame mind? But don't do like some Mr. Iyer who did with me. What happened? Okay, one Mr. Iyer came to me, and it was in the early days when I had come to Pondicherry. I was not taking any disciples at that time. And at that time, one Mr. Iyer came and he asked how he could still his mind. I showed him the steps. He did it, and by some luck or fortune, he could achieve the silence of the mind. But imagine, he came rushing to me saying that, what is happening to me? My God, I am becoming mad. I am becoming an idiot. There are no thoughts in me. So Sri Aurobindo laughed loudly and remarked, one who is already an idiot, how can he become still more idiot? The one who could not understand this, that he had attained a very great thing, spiritual thing of silencing of his mind, if he doesn't understand that, he is really an idiot. So, but he dropped him. In his early days, he was not very patient with the people who were there with him. And in the second incident, in fact, that incident when he was narrating to Dilip noted that he laughed so much that his body shook. That was his impression. That was his reminiscences which he has noted down. Of course, Sri Aurobindo told him to strike it out. It becomes too hilarious for his personality. In the second instance, Sri Aurobindo never smiled to anyone in public. He was very reticent. So Dilip once insisted, and Sri Aurobindo somehow agreed. And during a darshan, Sri Aurobindo tried to smile when Dilip looked at him, took his darshan. But Dilip missed it. He somehow missed it. But a lady who was next to him, she confirmed, yeah, you are. Sri Aurobindo did smile at you, and I am very sure of that. And he complained to Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo said, yes, the lady was right. I had indeed smiled, but my smile is not like a broad smile of a Tagore or a childlike smile of Gandhi. I will try to do better in future. So this is how he was. In public he was different, and in private he was totally different. Now why this was so, he has explained that probably this was the result of his estrangement. In early childhood, he was made to go away from his parents into the boarding school for educational purpose. So that might be the reason why he became very remote in the later years. Now, Dilip Kumar Roy or Dr. Nirod Baran or any other disciples who were there with him, though they were sometimes in contact with him, personal contact, but later on the contact after 1926 was almost negligible. So what used to happen is, they used to send their notebooks to Sri Aurobindo with their questions, and Sri Aurobindo would reply to that. So most of this thing are there from Sri Aurobindo's so number of instances have been collected by Dr. Nirod Baran, because Dr. Nirod Baran was a close disciple of his. And there are many other instances of Dilip Kumar Roy and Amal Kiran. They also have been collected. But Dr. Nirod Baran had a very great interaction with him always, even as a medical attendant to him. And he has written a book, Sri Aurobindo's Humor. And he has classified his humor in different medical humor, general humor, correspondence humor. Different chapters are there which showcase his humor. And there's another book which is an anthology of all the humor which occurred with Sri Aurobindo, and that has been written by Jugal Kishore Mukherjee, another sadhak, and it was done in later years, and it's a collection of all the humor. It includes Dr. Nirod Baran, of course, and there are many interesting chapters are there. There are a lot of tidbits, there are satires, there are his literature, literary humor, and even from the serious works he has culled some the humor from it, and there are many others. And in fact, one of the chapters which is there is a very interesting chapter, is the analysis of humor, and I have based my talk mostly on that. See, Ma Saraswati flowed even through Sri Aurobindo's pen, even in the aspect of humor. So it's very interesting. He used literary sort of techniques to create humor, the literary devices to create humor. So we'll be taking mostly from the Jugal Kishore's book, and the chapter is the analysis of Sri Aurobindo's humor. Now he has analyzed and he has categorized in almost 31 categories. Number of instances are there. I'll be quoting only one or two instances. Now first is the humorous rhyming with or without alliteration. Now Nirodharan once wrote to Sri Aurobindo in his notebook, I find now 3 mules which are troubling him. Mules, mind you, not horses. One is the meditation. Second is the silence of the buccal cavity, mouth, keeping his mouth silent, keeping himself silent. And third is poetry. Now the buccal silence I can manage. And but what about the other two? How to manage them? A clash is inevitable unless I favor one of them. Now Sri Aurobindo replied, there are 3 ways of meeting this situation. One is say yes to both the parties, or say but that will create trouble for you afterwards, or be cystic cryptic. The word he used was cystic cryptic cystic in the answer, and they will not know what you mean. Or be silent and say yeah. Don't say yes. If you say yes, it is too positive, then but tone it down. I think you do not have worldly wisdom to tackle such problems. Now once Nirodharan lamented, where is the sincerity in me? So wouldn't it be better for you to leave us, okay, instead of wasting your time and energy on us? Sri Aurobindo said, if you had any big object in ordinary life, if you had bigger object and there was nothing to hope for here, then things would have been different. But as things stand, it would be foolish to walk off under the instigation of the old mother, gloom. Stick on and you will have your soul's reward hereafter. Now, second one is the humorous repetition of a single word. It's a word is the queer word. The queer word has been repeated in a very humorous fashion. Now, Nirodharan once commented, what a queer fellow your supramental will be. Sri Aurobindo said, can't be queerer than the queer mental human. But I suppose he will be queerer. He will seem queer to queer mental human, just as queer human seems queer to queer vital monkey, and queer vital monkey seems queer to queer material jellyfish, all queer together and to each other. Another one. Today, Nirodharan writes, I tell you, I shall request you to stand and deliver on a different subject. What shall I hear from the mighty pen as a remedy for my chronic despair? Sri Aurobindo replied, now look here, sir, if I can be patient with you and your despair, why can't you be patient with the forces? Now, sir, if my yuga-like persistence could work a miracle with one such as Mr. X, why can't you expect an earlier result with you? Stand and answer. This is how. Stand and deliver, stand and answer. Echo device. Now, you discover, Nirodharan once lamented to him, you discover, sir, no escape now, but to drag us ignorant fools. And for this very reason, I was protesting that fools can't do what avatars can. However, now Sri Aurobindo said, they can if they stop being fools. However, now Guru Dilip Kumar once wrote to him, I send you a Bengali poem of mine, Akuti, which I have translated into English. Can you please revise it? Is it good? Mediocre? Worthless? Frank opinion, please. What about Rehana's letter? Won't return? You keep mum? What's up? Bridge building? Supramental? Wool gathering? Now Sri Aurobindo replied, I shall see if I can spare a few minutes for your poem, for revising your English poem translation, but you seem to have progressed very greatly in your English verse. How so quickly? Yogic force, internal combustion, subliminal self. Rehana's letter and drawing have unaccountably turned up again with me. Poltergeist? Your advertence? Mine? This is how he replied in the same fashion. In fact, they used to take liberty with him and they were free in their interactions with him. And Sri Aurobindo also would reply in the same coin. Second, next one, humorous alliteration with the same sounds. Now, Amal Kiran once wrote a poem to him and he said, in the second line of the poem, Atta seems a little quite a clutter after batter of the previous line, but in the same. Is it advisable to replace it with perfect? Sri Aurobindo replied, utter and batter seem to be perfect. Utter and batter may be a clutter and clatter, but perfect is much too flatter. So find something else which will fit inevitably into the matter. Next one. Guru, I find the poem suffering from first signs of flu. Well, the Guru says, well, your flu has made you fluid and fluent, and the hammering headache has hammered out a fine poem. Voila! If you advise me, Nirod Balan once said, if you advise me to go on sitting and racking one's brain, inspiration or no inspiration, then grey matter will open up. It's not a very royal road that you show me. I don't think that inspiration has anything to do with it. It can come with it in that way. It is better to be in a receptive mood and let it come. If it doesn't come, try. But do not sweat, swear and write. This is how. A master statement by Sri Aurobindo to Dr. Nirod Baran regarding medical profession or a doctor. Tradition demands that a doctor should be soft like butter, soothing like a treacle, sweet like sugar, and jolly like jam. I liked it so much, I'll be using it in the end, which I'll show you. Now there is a humorous double perception. Now Nirod Baran once wrote, Guru, day after tomorrow is my blessed birthday. The year has gone round and the prophecy that at the age of 32 my troubles will be over as well. 32nd year over? Perhaps. But the will be over has a different significance. He replies. Then Nirod Baran, have you brushed aside Suravardi's poems? Sri Aurobindo replied, no. I have combed them only. I will send you the results. Now, humorous play with two signification. Word with the two significations. Now, once Nirod Baran wrote, tomorrow I am going to burst a little attention. What? Burst? Which way? You explode. Fizz only. Don't burst the ashram. Blow up the ashram. Sure, Nirod Baran writes, the ashram is quite safe. My explosion will burst only me. I can see if divine can be exploded. I expected by your touch, by your grace, something of my burden would be lessened, but it seems it has been an illusion. Sri Aurobindo replied, man alive, or of sorrows, whatever may be the fact, how is it that you fell on such a fell day for your burst? There has been an explosion, as T. merrily calls it, beginning on the 14th of August, but reaching now its epistolary climax. I have been writing sober letters to excited people for the last few years. So, I solicit your indulgence and send back the blessed burst. I will try to deal with it. This is how he replied to him. Then Nirod Baran once complained, the boil paining all the time, please do something, Guru. I can't do anything. Why so boiled by a boil? Another inversion technique. It's a very fantastic inversion technique which he has used. Now, Nirodbaran once wrote a very fine poem. He sent it to Sri Aurobindo. He appreciated it, and Nirodbaran was very happy with the comment. And I had sent you, but I doubt if the same sustained level can be maintained. Sri Aurobindo replied, very few poets can maintain a sustained level. The best poetry doesn't come in streams, it comes drop by drop. But it comes in the periods of extraordinary inspiration. Now, though sometimes it is coming at the 3 or 4 drops at a time, of course there are exceptions like Shakespeare, etc. But this kind of a spear doesn't shake everywhere. Now, another humorous linguistic license. Now, once Nirodbaran sent him a poem. In fact, he versified this thing. You said circumstances are exceptional as regards my early success in English versification. It must be so because, he writes now, let me know, how is it so, a dullard like me, bursting like a sea, with a heart of a muse, makes his rhythm fuse? Sri Aurobindo writes, you're opening into a wider scopening, that fills me with sudden opening, that I may carry in spite of gropening, your soul into supramental ropening. Deliberate, but next one, deliberate but seemingly innocent misconstruing. Now, Nirodbaran once wrote to him, my big photo requires Sanjeev's treatment. Sri Aurobindo replied, what, which, where, how, what disease, what medicine wanted? Nirodbaran calmly replied, by my big photo, I meant your photo which would be drawn by Sanjeevan. Now, he will use the word drawn. Sri Aurobindo says, you are plunging me into new mysteries. If it is a photo, how can it be drawn? And what is the tense, connotation, psychological, metaphysical annotation of would be here, would be drawn, would be here? Nirodbaran replied, you see, the big photo is being eaten by insects, so it has to be treated. So all interrogations answered, permission granted? Sri Aurobindo replied, yes. Another word. Using a word in an unconventional context. Nirodbaran once wrote to him, complained to him, Dr. Sarkar has a touch of cold. Please save me. No more patients, please. Especially big and bulky ones. Sarkar was quite big and bulky. Sri Aurobindo writes, well, prevent the cold from becoming bulky. Another one. Nirodbaran once complained, self, pus still coming out. Nose also angry. Now Sri Aurobindo replied, what a bad temper pussycat of a nose. He writes. Then humorous, focusing on etymology. All right. How is the poem which I have sent you? All right, except for a rather amorphous rhythm, I have tried to morph it a little. Another one. I thought it was not possible to have spiritual experiences, especially major ones, without your previously knowing and that so and so is having such and such experience. Now, previously, Sri Aurobindo replied, my God, we would have to spend all our lives pre-visiting sadhak's experiences. Do you think mother has nothing else to do? As for myself, I never previse anything. I only wise and revise. Humorous centering around ellipses and elisions. Nirodbaran once wrote to him, I also asked Dr. R, but he has no time. Hence, those two, thinking that they understand at least better than I. This probably was an incident when Sri Aurobindo had met with his accident and Dr. Nirodbaran was trying to consult some better physician than him. Now, Sri Aurobindo said, which two? Great heavens, O Aeschylus. Now, he used to term Nirodbaran Aeschylus. Now, we know that Aeschylus was a dramatist, tragedy dramatist, who in fact is considered as the father of tragic drama. written drama, father of tragic drama. He is a Greek dramatist. So he was sometimes, many times referred to Nirodharan as Aeschylus, because he was always in despair, always in gloominess and all kind of things. So I suppose great events O Aeschylus, R and Z or X and Y. R and Z or X and Y. I suppose the latter. And the elliptical, hence those two. What is this two? Hence I asked about it. I shall become a skillful Aeschylean scholar at this rate, he remarked. Now Nirodharan says, now all symptoms are subsiding. PT will soon be all right. PT, full stop, he will soon be all right. Now Sri Aurobindo writes, what the deuce is PT? O Aeschylus. Another one. Nirodharan. D, better. Pain. Now this Sri Aurobindo is confused. Is that he has better pain? Or the fact that he has pain shows that he is better? Or that he is better but still has pain? An aphoristic style lends itself to many joyfully various interpretations. The neologisms. He was very adept in making new words, neologisms, coining new words. Have you asked Dr. R's opinion on the matter about new patient? Haven't asked him. Afraid of a resonant explanation which would leave me cobrified and flabbergasted, but no wiser than before. Another one. The divine writing has made me peaceful. And by the way, you are hammering the supramental on us in everything. One would almost think that we are going to become big people overnight. My insistence on supramental is, of course, apodiaskeptic. Don't search the word in dictionary, it is not there. I am simply imitating the doctors who throw impossible Greeks on you when they are in a hole and they protect themselves. Of course, I am not going to give up on supramental. It is my business. As for the thing, if you fellows will give me an opportunity, if you give me a chance, it is not meant that personally for Nirodharan, but you in general, if you all just give me a chance and will go less blummering to buzific intensities, I will be doing it earlier. Nirodharan. It is proposed to include me in the ashram anthology of Bengali poets, but won't my work look very pale beside something like a Nishikanta's all splendor and glow? Nothing. Anthology has a variety in it. It's like a museum or a botanical garden. So a modestum nirodicum will do no harm besides a flaminga nishikantika. Flaminga nishikantika. That is a splendor Nishikant. Nishikant was a very famous Bengali poet in Sri Aurobindo ashram. Now, fun with Greek expressions, Greek or Latin expressions. Now, Nirodharan once wrote, M's not a pimple, it looks like a Meibomian cyst. Meibomian cyst. Now, Sri Aurobindo writes, what the hell is that? I don't know bad Greek. Now, Sri Nirodharan writes, I send you a bad M's diagram. I hope the hell is now clear now. Meibomian cyst is an enlargement of one of the glands in the inner coat of the eyelid. Now, Sri Aurobindo writes, this is more intelligible. You have not explained your bad Greek though. He twists the word. He says it is Meibomian. Now, Meibomian, and he writes, which seems to have something to do with a mystically silent shout. Now, Nirodharan has explained that Meibomian is a proper medical term, but Meibomian is different. It's a Greek word. Meio means shut, mute or mystic. Meio means shut, mute or mystic. And B-O-E means cry or shout. So Sri Aurobindo has made that humorous observation, which seems to have something to do with a mystically silent shout. Now, making fun of having used a wrong word and made a slip of pen. Now, the first portion of the poem I wrote almost dosing. He makes a mistake with the word. Now, Sri Aurobindo underlines the word dosing. Now, this is a medical spelling. Nirod Barans. We are getting tired and hopeless. Now, Sri Aurobindo underlines the word hopeless. That is a good word. To be hopeless means there is no hope left in you. Then another one. A carpenter, Nirod Barans once writes, carpenter beaten by a rat. Now, Sri Aurobindo replies, say, I never heard of a rat beating a man before. He ought to go to criminal court rather than to a hospital. Now, Nirod Barans once writes, since the soul has descended into ignorance through a process of devolution, it has to go back through evolution. Now, Sri Aurobindo, what is this devolution? Let me hear more about it, for it is new to me. I know only involution and evolution, but not a devolution. Making fun of queer expression, sentence structure. I saw Madan Lal going about in bare clothing. Not good for asthma. Nirod Barans writes. Sri Aurobindo comments, what the deuce is bare clothing? I have never heard of bare clothing, but bare body. Your Aeschylean expressions are sometimes too puzzling. On the incomprehensibility of language. Somebody once wrote a telegram to Sri Aurobindo and he tries to take a clarification from Nirod Barans. Sri Aurobindo narrates. Now, the telegram reads, appendix affected fall. Now, couldn't understand. Asked for the exact nature of the illness and got this telegram in reply. Please perorate. Now, parts of the word retained and humorous effects which have been created. Nirod Barans, you have kept the typescript? I am finished then. I know it will meet the same fate as my earlier one. But I still send the book in the hope of some expiation or divagation. None, Sri Aurobindo replied. I prefer to excavate instead. Now, Nirod Barans. They will say, Nirod Barans gave expositions of this poetry, and he praised it and gave force. But Sri Aurobindo replied, but do you find that it's a bad poetry? For it is fine poetry. Posterity will not say, but they will say almost, how difficult. It is only contemporary opinion that is foolishly contemptuous of grand poetry. Now, breakup of a word to create a 3D effect or a humorous effect. He has finished 3 take a diastase bottles. He finds great relief from it. We require another bottle. Shall we buy it? Sri Aurobindo replied, buy the take a distaste bottle and keep his liver quiet for God's sake. He has started his lamentations again. The bottle to keep, the baby quiet. Humorous, illegible handwriting. Nirod Barans' handwriting only. Now, Nirod Barans once wrote, there was no drowsiness. Understandable? The word drowsiness was written very badly. Sri Aurobindo barely understood it and wrote, your writing is sometimes no more understandable than mine. It took me some time to decipher what you have written, whether it was a Bengali, Sanskrit or an English word, but I suppose it is drowsiness. Another word. A word or an expression used by the correspondent leads to a humorous follow-up. Now, Sri Aurobindo was not in a habit of ordering anybody or giving them leading advices. Okay. Now, Guru, you hardly take any initiative and ask people to do this or do that. Your principle is to give a long rope to either to hang oneself or to have a taste of bitter cup later. Am I to put everybody into leading strings and walk about with them? Or should it be a rope around their noses? Superman cannot be made that way. The long rope is needed. Now, Nirodbharan once complained, you compare your nights with mine, God above, your sir is a labor of love. Sri Aurobindo replied, love under protest, sir. Then at least under protest. Nirodbharan writes, then what? Mine, a labor of yoga? Sri Aurobindo writes, labor of bhoga, question mark, and sends it back. Bhoga is enjoyment. Now, humor with the initials. Now, absolutely in the physical consciousness, sir, I don't find any trace of the psychic anywhere. Are you handling the blessed physical subconscious? Sri Aurobindo replies, I am handling the handle, sticky. If you are absolutely in the physical consciousness, then so much the better. It shows that you are on the way. If you were in the uproarious mental or a tragic vital, then there will be little chance of recovery for the psychic to emerge. But now that you are in the physical, there is some prospect of you finishing the circle. Now m.v.ph. Afterwards, possibly there will be chance for the line of ps.hc.s. Now, Nirodbharan writes, what are these abbreviations? ps.hc.s. Sri Aurobindo replies, psychic, higher consciousness, supramental. Sri Nirodbharan writes, you are trying to adopt shorthand now? Of course, what to do? Shorthand lessens the labor of the writer, even if it increases the labor of the reader. Besides, the attempt to find what the apse means, it stimulates your intuition. Besides, it sharpens your intelligence. It's good for you. Another one, humorous exploitation of a quick procession of terms. Now, I am having chronic trouble. At Pranam, I felt mother was serious with me because she thought that whatever I said yesterday, comparing the sadhaks, she didn't like it probably. But there was no intention. Sri Aurobindo replied, rubbish. Sometimes the sadhaks used to complain about mother's serious look. But there was nothing in that. Number of occasions, Sri Aurobindo and the mother dispelled this notion. Rubbish, the mother did not think anything about it at all. Why the hell or the heaven or why on the earthly should she be displeased? We all seem to think that mother as a living in some sort of a perpetual day-lying and a light-long simmering cauldron of displeasure about nothing and everything under the sun. Lord, what a queer idea you have. Now, there was another one is leaving an offensive word. He never used to write an offensive word, but he used to, whatever offensive word was there, he would leave it unfinished. But in this, there is an example of that. Now, he gave advice. He was writing about Nirodbharan tried to argue, and the argument was quite fallacious. And Sri Aurobindo counter-argued, and he replied, the tea and talk were granted as a concession to D's nature because the self-deprivation would land him into seas of trouble. Now, if mother allowed butter or eggs to Y for his physical health, does it follow that butter and eggs are the basis of Brahman? If somebody has a stomach ache and I send him to the dispensary, does it follow that the stomach ache, the dispensary, Dr. Nirod and allopathic drugs are perfect way to spiritualization? Don't be an A and there is a space. I mean a dash logician. Now you can understand the humor in this line. Now another one, humor out of improper grammatical grafting. Now once Nirodbharan wrote these lines, verse, lone lily like a sheep I go along the water mark of time. How is the sheep, oh, and lone lily? Sri Aurobindo writes, it is certainly impossible. Sheep is too sheepish. You just as might well say like a mouse. The word lone lily simply doesn't exist any more than a silly lily or a lily lily or a willy lily. Now, ingenious twist which has been given to an expression. Sri Aurobindo closed a rather long discussion with the words, in case the experiment to see is to see whether what extraordinary minds can do or cannot be done by yoga, he writes sufficit. He writes sufficit and just writes dash, or as Ramchandra, a disciple, eloquently puts it, nuff said, N-U-F-F said, nuff said. Now this is a very delectable illusion. In fact, Jugal also comments on that. Now humor arising out of a wrong pronunciation. Now there is a sadhak, Pavitra, French. He was a French sadhak, and when he came to the ashram, he had a French toning to his English. What cheer, brothers? Nirodbaran once wrote. Sri Aurobindo comments, P, in order to facilitate matters for tomorrow, has started. What cheer, brothers? Sri Aurobindo writes. Now Nirodbaran writes, what cheer, brothers? Never heard of such a phrase. Even Wodehouse hasn't that. Sri Aurobindo said it is both. You know the story of Pavitra and Kshitish and the word bother? Pavitra, who had just come to the ashram, he said, Kshitish, I am a brother to you all, But Kshitish thought it is bother. The word is bother. He heard him to be bother. Oh no, he cried. But then Pavitra insisted, no, you all are brothers. Oh no, you all are brothers again. But Kshitish insisted, no, it is not like that. But it seems what he heard was, I am a bother to you all. So brothers are bothers and bothers are brothers, insisting on inhabiting the ashram or at least visiting, like vaccination, peace needle, etc. This is how he commented on that. Now humorous confusion of words. Now Dilip Da once has asked for a poem. He sent the poem enclosed, but Sri Aurobindo wrote, but there is something wrong with this. What is that? This brief mystical experience which you have written, where does it come? It has no head, no syntactical head or tail. Either I have dropped something or you have missed something. Please look again at my original hieroglyphs. I am sending, Nirodbaran writes, I am sending you the original hieroglyphs. Please go through it. Sri Aurobindo says, I haven't dropped anything, but as I thought you have transmagnified something. And what I wrote was that it was not mystical, but mortal, and not experience, but existence. The brief mortal existence, and which you thought that it is a brief mystical experience. Now, another one. You wrote me we should drop the mixing together and cooking. How to drop the mixing, sir? I did not write mixing. I wrote messing foods. Food, sir, food. Eating in common, psychogastric communion, forming a spiritual culinary joy. If you want occultism, you shall have it with a vengeance. Another one. Names intentionally twisted. Sri Aurobindo was then an officer, young officer in Baroda service. He wrote to his uncle about a certain incident which happened with him. Now I have received a ₹90 promotion. But the story goes there are certain officers. Now he doesn't refer to them directly. He writes that the officer whose name is Daya Bhai, he writes him damn you Bhai. And another one is the secretary to the Maharaja. He is the Manu Bhai, and he writes about him as Manuvre Bhai, maneuvering. And there's Budiyu Bhai, Manuvre Bhai, that he is going to get 50 rupees. There's some regarding promotion and getting additional reward for that. So as Mr. Ghosh has done good work for me, I give him ₹90. Now, another one, unintentional muddle of names. Now, Manu Bhai in the city has conjunctivitis. Now, Nirodbaran conveys to Sri Aurobindo. Now, Sri Aurobindo says, now Mani Bhai is the Smithy superintendent and Manu Bhai is the Lord High Gardener. Don't mix men and vowels like this, supramentally like this. Another one, Ram Bhai complains that there is a severe pain in the abdomen due to constipation, had to give a dose of castor oil. Now Ram Bhai is in Gujarat, Sri Aurobindo writes, if you are administering doses of castor oil from here, from Pondicherry, then you must be a Siddha fascist yogi. But perhaps you mean Ram Kumar, or whom do you mean? Muddle of names. Now, Pans. Use neck tumor can be operated under local anesthetic, but the operation is useless because he is afraid. And as it doesn't have any discomfort, he says you have to let it go. Only I was thinking that if it grows bigger, then it will be or if your force doesn't prevent it, then we'll have to do something for it. Now, Sri Aurobindo writes, no use doing if he is afraid of it. Let us wait on the gods and hope that they won't increase the lipoma till it deserves a diploma for its size. An American skyscraper on the neck would be obviously very inconvenient. Now, Nirodbana once commented, I should say avatars are like well-fitted, well-equipped Rolls-Royce machines. Sherman writes, all sufficient to themselves, perfect and complete from the beginning. Hey, just roll, Royce and Ripple. Ends the analysis. And there are other examples of humor. Now, Sri Aurobindo has written serious works like Life Divine, Synthesis of Yoga, Essays on the Gita. And one more thing he has written is very early days, he wrote a comedy, romantic comedy, in fact. It's a drama, Waziza Basura. But I will be telling one example that is taken from the Essays on the Gita. It is regarding karma and all that kind of thing. So, and it goes like this. It's on page, I think so, page number 33 of Essays of the Gita. I cannot think that Gita would solve such an inner situation by sending Buddha back to his wife and father and the government of Sakya state, or would direct a Ramakrishna to become a Pandit in a vernacular school and disinterestedly teach little boys their lessons, or bind down a Vivekananda to support his family, or for that to follow dispassionately the law or medicine or journalism. This is a observation he has made, humorous observation he has made in Essays on the Gita. You should read the Wazirs of Basra. It's very nice romantic comedy. You will enjoy it. Now, there are many examples of ready wit regarding Sri Aurobindo. One of them was in his childhood when he was a small boy and he found himself standing in front of his uncle. Uncle was shaving by looking in the mirror, and the mama said to him, small oro, small monkey. He showed him the mirror and told him, small oro, small monkey. Immediately, Aurobindo is very quick. He just turned around the mirror and showed it to his mama and said, Bado mama, bado bandar. This is how he was even in the childhood also. Now, Nirodbana once writes, too busy to give us force, sir. Darshan is over. Sri Aurobindo writes, Darshan is over, but Karshan is not. That is, Karshan is plowing, tilling. In fact, he was working in the physical consciousness, so it was a hard work of pulling supramental down into the physical consciousness, trying to establish it there. Another one. Nirodbana once writes, today I felt a blocky feeling during pranam. Oh, Sri Aurobindo writes, I was afraid what he meant. I thought he meant blockheaded, or felt blockheaded, or felt foolish, but I remembered in time that it was a block of dissent that you are talking about. Another one. Nirodbana once this thing, I have been unusually happy after many months. The man of sorrows has become non-existent or kicked out, but ultimately he is trying to poke his head again. Sri Aurobindo replied, twist his nose. Now, in the early days when Sri Aurobindo was in politics, and even later on, he wrote some satirical articles on the British politicians, British rulers, and the moderate politics and politicians. So one example I will be giving of Mr. Morley. He has written even satires in on Indian culture against Archer also, who had attacked Indian culture, and he has given a very strong rejoinder in and written a book on that. It has come out in the form of a book. It was in actually article titled "In Defense of Indian Culture," which has come out in the book form of Indian Culture. And I'll tell about the Morley's this thing. Morley was a governor of, I think so, Bengal. Mr. Morley has given us the philosophy of a turncoat. Principles, he has said, in effect, are not light by which you can guide steps in all circumstances, but a coat which is worn for comfort and convenience. Sure, in the right. In Canada, which is cold, you have to wear the fur coat. There is no help for it. In Egypt, which is hot, you have to change it for an alpaca. In India, which is still hotter, there is no need to wear a coat at all. It is just so with the principles, democratic and other. In fact, he is pointing out that there are no democratic principles in India. This is how they treat us. Now, quality of Sri Aurobindo's humor. Now, we will have to appreciate the Sri Aurobindo's humor. What is the quality of it? Sri Aurobindo was an avatar. Basically, one should understand that he was an avatar. He was an accomplished Mahayogi, in fact. So, we have to keep in the mind that he had attained to the highest divine siddhi. So, he was beyond mind. In fact, his mind had become silent. He was inwardly much above mind level. He had established samatha in his whole being. No. He was free from all the human limitations, what you may call of Shadripus. He had no lust, anger, fear, any of those things which is ego, which leads to ego. In fact, he was free from ego. So, any psychoanalytical approaches which are there as a modern psychology tries it, this cannot be applied to Sri Aurobindo or saints or similar yogis like him, or like Ramakrishna or Vivekananda or what do you call Raman Maharshi, etc. You cannot apply this psychological analysis or psychoanalytical approach of their understanding their humor. In fact, they were also humor. All of these yogis, etc., are very humorous in their personal lives also. And he was not a stage performer who cracked jokes for the public effects. Now, he dealt with all his disciples equally. Now, why was there? There was a right amount, because when he wrote something to them, he gave the right amount of spiritual dose to them. It was meant to give for this inner progress. So that progress was sweet, with gentleness, with love, with benevolence, and it was sometimes laced with very subtle humor. So, Nirodharan has observed that his humor was sparkling humor, and it used to burst out like a fountain when he dealt with this. And in fact, they used to take a supramental levity with him, divine levity with him, supramental levity with him. So, on everything and anything under the sun, they could unabashedly tell him, and he would reply also in the similar tone and fashion. So, hence, though his humor was not loud, it was elegant, it was subtle, it was very nuanced, sweet, and sometimes tongue-in-cheek, sometimes very British in nature or English in nature, and he used to use literary devices, a lot of literary devices he used to use. So, that shows some British influence also. But he wrote pointed and cutting satires during his early days. That was meant for criticizing the British policies and awakening the Indians to the follies which were being done by them. And in the Sri Aurobindo's humor, one can discern the Ananda aspect of the Satchidananda. It gets reflected in it. Now, in conclusion, I can say, so therefore, we have a Guru who is a person who took liberty with his disciples and infused humor, sweetness, confidence, faith, assurance, and ease in the sadhaks when they interacted with him. So, as Nirodharan describes, he was playful, boisterous, bursting out on anything and everything, and interacted with the divine levity. And so his humor makes a delightful feast for all the lovers of laughter. So this shows his intensely human side of his personality, which sometimes gets lost in the serious works. He thus comes across as a guru who was par excellence, was warm, sweet, gracious. He provided help, pulling sadhaks out from the impossible situations, creating poets out of clods, and though himself was a poet, and his epistolary notes are very great, because they are a source of guidance for everyone. Now, Sri Aurobindo described once how a doctor should be. I will remind you of that thing. How a doctor should be. Tradition demands that a doctor should be soft like butter, soothing like a treacle, sweet like sugar, and jolly like jam. Now, can we not say that how a guru should be in the same words? Just replace the word doctor by the word guru, and our guru is of that same nature. And as described by Dr. Nirod Baran in the preface, I hope to dispel the mist of ignorance and reveal Sri Aurobindo as a yogi who found rasa in all circumstances of life, for he himself was raso vahi sahi, verily he is the delight. And I close with a few lines from Savitri, a key turned in the mystic lock of time, but where the silence of the God had passed, a greater harmony from the stillness born, surprised with joy and sweetness yearning hearts, an ecstasy and a laughter and a cry, a power leaned down, a happiness found its home, over wide earth brooded the infinite bliss. Thank you.